When you come to a territory and you find demonic presence, witches find a place conducive, it is because of several things that have happened in that same location previously that were interactions that gave Satan legitimacy. Now, if you as an intercessor want to dispossess them of that authority, you will need to travel in the waters of revelation and find out the basis of the authority they secured. It's like, we are missionaries, we travel around the world. If my wife is not with me, you can't access my room. Oh, the moment I hit the ground, I'll come with a frown. And the frown is a deliberate one, and I will wear that frown till I leave. It's a way of protecting myself, you know. May the Lord give you understanding. There was this guy, he was an anesthetic nurse. Are you there? So he's been in the theater for 22 years, seen all kinds of surgical procedures, and he's an expert, he's a professional in administering anesthesia. After 22 years of viewing medical procedures, C-section, taking out the what they call appendix, operations, operating the brain, taking out tumors for 22 years. I will not mention the name of the country, but it's not in America anyway, so rest okay. The guy started doing operations in his house. Yeah, so people would just come, just pay. Then he converted his dining table to a surgical table. Listen to me, none of his surgeries failed, none. If it's a C-section, before you know it, the baby is crying. And he cleans up well, and the patient is discharged. Someone having problems with the appendix, the radiologist confirms it, that is appendicitis. They come to his house. His dining table became his theater. And one by one, he began to get equipment for his surgery business, and he was quite a surgeon. Now, so the question we're asking is, yes, the C-section, you did it well. These things. But the question is what? By whose authority? Now you're following me. The things the man did were good things. He had results. But now, we want to ask the legitimacy behind your doings. He did not have legitimacy, he had ability. And he was doing stuff. But he did not have the legitimacy to do the stuff that he did. So that makes his ability criminal, because it was unauthorized. Oh, you're not with me. The surgeries were correct, but the nurse did not have the license to operate. Just like some people might look at your ministry, see the power ministry, see and stuff like that, and then somebody desires to be like you. Not that he's called to be like you. The person is an intercessor. That shouldn't be seen. That is uncalling. It should be in the closet, at the back of the church, supporting the pulpit. But he saw you moving in power. Even though the person is an intercessor, the person has entered the realm of power. The person actually has power. But God is not demanding that kind of ministry from the person. The person is now operating like the apostle because he can operate like the apostle, and not because he was authorized to operate like the apostle. I'm doing it because I can do it. Whenever you see a minister like that, run away. Because he might look like a champion before men, but when he stands before God, God will say, unauthorized. And even in my own little ministry, there were days I felt the great power of God, and God says, don't pray for the sick today. And I felt it. And then you ask, okay, if you don't want me to pray for the sick, why did you release this oil? That's what is called self-control, the spirit. Yes. You know, I told you, when we go into the realm of authority, that's the game for the men. I came back one day and a lady was there. They ran to my house and said, we know that if you pray for this lady, she'll come back. So I said, go, let me talk to God. I knelt down and I prayed in tongues. I begged him. I begged Jesus. I said, Jesus, oh, raise the dead. Raise the dead. Raise the dead. Raise the dead. Oh. Jesus answered. He came after a few hours. He said, you can raise the girl from the dead, but if she dies again, she will die an unbeliever. Now she has died as a believer. I've been hunting her for many years. You can go and take the glory and raise the dead, but I will demand her blood from your hand. Oh. So I can decide to go there and say, you know, right now, something. It will be unauthorized. So even though you have power, become intimate with him. Let him regulate the use of the power. Hallelujah. My pastor told me a story of his own pastor. And his pastor was a strange man, very strange. He can stay without food for 14 days. He can stay without food and water for 21 days. And you will not know, because he'll be leading prayers and doing everything he does when he eats food. He had a very strange ability to fast, and not the normal fast, dry fast. One of those days he was leading prayer during one of the fasts, and they brought a guy that had never walked. His legs were twisted. They put him on the podium. He didn't pray for him. He was just teaching the Bible and leading prayers. And before you know it, this guy here, the legs began to come back together. Never prayed for him. When that guy began to walk, his parents came and gave him the guy as a gift. You know how we give our offering of $10 or $25, $50. They gave They gave him a human being. Take it. That's the man that I'm talking about. And he was on the crusade ground campaigning for Jesus. And the sorcerer, because this sorcerer is a notable sorcerer. People travel from different places to the guy for solutions. Politicians, all kinds of stuff. He can break spells. He can unturn all kinds of things. So the sorcerer believed that the evangelist had trespassed his territory, and he came out with a horn to the crusade. When they saw him on the crusade ground, the crowd scattered. He was doing incantations and coming to the pulpit, doing incantations. People were running away. And then this evangelist just cried out, "Can a man fight God and prosper?" That was all. He didn't say anything more than that. The guy did his incantations on the crusade ground and went back. 7 o'clock the next morning, that guy was dead. Because power is the tool by which God conquers. Before that time, nobody ever challenged that man. Guess what? The crusade did not end the next day, even though the man was dead. In fact, his death became publicity for the crusade. Oh, because a man cannot fight God and prosper. Power is the tool by which God conquers, but authority is the tool by which he rules. When you gave your life to Christ, you remember how you were convicted. It was power. Power was power. Then when you submitted, there was no need for you to feel that way anymore, because now he's ruling. He's establishing his government. We say, no, you can't respond to him. The person came and insulted you. Government will say, no, you can't respond. Because if you respond, it will not be by me. It will be in the flesh. And there are many legitimate things we do. The governor will rebuke you and say, no, this is not my way. And every time you see an opening that gives you a perception of God's position in his realm, an accurate believer will want to align with the demand of that perception. That is why the book of Matthew is in the Bible. Because Jesus is seen as a king in the book of Matthew, seen as a slave in the book of Mark, seen as the Son of Man in the book of Luke, seen as the Son of God in the book of John. So the books are not the same. The eternal personality, even Jesus Christ, is modeled as a king in the book of Matthew. So the tone of the book of Matthew is different from the other books. The tone is different because the tone of the book of Matthew is government. So when you read, you will now see the way Jesus speaks is uncompromising. And I will say to you, depart from me. That's the king speaking. Ye that walk in iniquity, for I was not intimate with you. Is that right? All right, so God conquers by power, God rules by authority. And then I want to end by saying the Bible acknowledges that Satan has power. Luke chapter 10 verse 19. But Satan has no authority. And the reason why Satan doesn't have authority is because Satan is not intimate with the one that gives authority. Satan doesn't have authority to make you sick. Doesn't. Satan has power. He said, behold, I give unto you power to tread upon serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy. So Jesus acknowledges that Satan has power. But Satan has no authority, no legitimate authority. In fact, the definition of witchcraft is illegitimate authority. Yes, that's the definition of witchcraft. It's a deep matter. When you come to a territory and you find demonic presence, witches find a place conducive, it is because of several things that have happened in that same location previously that were interactions that gave Satan legitimacy. Now, if you as an intercessor want to dispossess them of that authority, you will need to travel in the waters of revelation and find out the basis of the authority they secured and undo that premise before you can release the power of God on your life and say, be gone. If there is legitimacy behind their stay and you want to evacuate them, you will have backlash. The backlash you will have okay, it's an indication of the fact that you are still a novice in the ways of territorial deliverance, because they have a right to be there by reason of transactions that have transpired. So you need to now find out what gave them that premise, and then you undo the premise. Exactly. The moment you undo the premise, they will know, they will leave. They will leave by themselves. How many of you have ever had some strange people as your neighbors, and the people were irritated because you used to pray in the night, and then they call the police at you, say your bin is in the wrong place, you parked your car out, you were 2 centimeters away from line, and then one day you wake up, your neighbor has parked. It's because you found the legitimacy that the witchcraft operation was based on. In your intercession, it uncovered it, it dealt with it, and you did not know. Satan will try as much as possible not to fight you. The day you discover where his legality is premised, he'll walk away. Life. We are missionaries, we travel around the world. If my wife is not with me, you can't access my room. Oh, the moment I hit the ground, I'll come with a frown, and the frown is a deliberate one, and I will wear that frown till I leave. It's a way of protecting myself, May the Lord give you understanding.